Hi folks, hi everybody. Well, today we're talking about this thing, and I found something interesting about Asian Confederates, right? And it seems to back then, way before the first Sino-Japanese War, Korea was part of China, and during those times, Koreans. You mean we talk about Korean Confederates there? There's one thing of going on was what is going on right here that South Korea might try to prepare using Japan, as Japan were the fighters for the Confederacy. Well, they are mistaken that between the relationships between America and Japan started in the South. That is wrong. That is bullshit made by Koreans, because Koreans want to conceive people that the Japanese fought for the Confederate States. That's bullshit. But hopefully, I will tell you one thing. 100% of all Koreans fighting for the American Civil War fought for the Confederates. 100% of all Koreans in the American Civil War fought for the South. Yes, Korea's relations with this country started with the southern states. They never explain anything. All it is they focus is that Korea was part of China, and they were talking about these Chinese Confederates. Yeah, actually Koreans. But what all the rest of China? The rest of China were fighting for the Union. They're fighting against slavery, while the Koreans are fighting for slavery. And that's the reason why. And that's the reason why you might have this thing, and then, whoa, I just want to do this. Even random yokos doing this, and you talk about Koreans in your video, right? I guess it's very interesting to know you about this thing and already have something about the Civil War. And then Abraham Lincoln was a great president, and he fought to free slavery, to write the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery. While Koreans were favor for slavery back then when Korea was part of China. That's the only part of China that what Korea was part of China were the ones sending soldiers to fight for the Confederates, right? That's right. 100% of all Koreans fought for the Confederates. 100% of all Koreans fought for slavery during the American Civil War. And Koreans supported slavery during the Civil War. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But I could tell you a list of something very interesting to know that I have from website. But Japan, I mean the sources from Japan, even though we have the United States and Japan are always has close allies to break this away from this World War II thing that have gone in the past and focus on what it is about details of files of other Confederate soldiers that Korea has sent during the American Civil War. And then there's nothing, there's no idea, but just have something of the now, and they didn't say jack. One thing I'll say you. Once the US and Japan has something of the Civil War that they want to detail that all Koreans fought for the Confederates. In that time, if Koreans fought for the Confederates, then something between Japan and the US have conclusion that the Union, the winners of the Civil War, would agree with Japan and tell Korea, who were the fighting for the losers, to denounce and have all the detail of other Korean Confederates fighting. Maybe they have a general who is Korean and have won different battles that the South have won, and then lost, and he went back to Korea when Korea was occupied by China. And then this thing has started. I just wrote names, and these people are Korean. Yes, they are Korean. Let's start with Charles Choi. I think one of Random Yoko's videos, there was Charles Choi wearing a mustache. Yeah, Charles Choi did some bad shit with Japan after the end of the American Civil War. Charles Choi, who goes by the name of Charles Chun. Or maybe wait, I'm mistaken. Maybe it's some other Korean fighter. I bet. Yeah, Charles Choi is dead, but some other Korean fighter that fought for the Confederates, and maybe I want to mention name, but this guy probably fought for the Confederacy. You know, you maybe right, Yoko from Random Yoko, but but let me talk about Charles Choi. Charles Choi, who goes by the name of Charles Chun. Choi was part of the K-24 Texas Cavalry and died on the Battle of Franklin, Tennessee on November of 1864. Choi is buried at the McGovick Confederate Cemetery. Choi, you know he goes by Chun because back then Korea was governed by China. Before communist China, the Kingdom of China, you know, was part of China was part of the. Korea was part of the Chinese Kingdom back in those days, and then this is why this Choi character goes by Chun. This is what it is. All it is something that is to disclassify that Koreans fought for the Confederates, and all Koreans did fought for the Confederates. And then this is one thing, another Korean who fought for the South during the American Civil War, William Henry Conn, also known as William Henry Kwan, was a Confederate soldier who fought on the B-15 or 12 Virginia battle line of B-12 or 15 or 12 Virginia Battalion of Light Artillery. Kwan or Khan, this Korean dude, fought for that, and then he went back to Chinese occupied Korea. And then there's another Korean that I'm telling you about, another Korean Confederate, John Founty. Maybe his original name would be John Kim, but Kim, you know, Founty, let's call him with his westernized name, from Savannah, Georgia, served 1 year in the Confederate Army, and then returned to Chinese occupied Korea, his place of birth, because he was underage. Tell me about it. Something wrong in there in this thing? There's other Koreans. Other Korean Confederates are Ko Ding Fai Gong, aka Sung, Hai Jung or Jung, Lin Pang Pu, and Wong. Others are not classified. Tell me about it. It is true. It is true when Korea was part of China, during those days, Koreans were fighting for slavery, while the other Chinese, you know, they fought for the North. They fought for the Union. Who's fighting for slavery? Well, don't be mistaken by Korea with their falsely made up history about the American Civil War, adding even the president and the Congress. Don't fool for South Korean made up stories about the Civil War, telling them that there were a lot of Japanese fighting for the Confederates, and a lot of Japanese were butchering slaves. That is one of the biggest lies ever. You know, just believe on the Japanese side to demand Korea to have profiles and classified things. Maybe Japan might have these classified issues that the Japanese are the only ones that are telling the truth about this. there will be more Koreans, Confederates that fought, and I tell you, 100% of all Koreans fought for the Confederacy, while the rest of the Chinese troops fought for the Union. And then when this comes to light, approve it, agree with Japan's side of the hidden files when they won during the first Sino-Japanese War, that they might have files of Korea having this list of names, just names, even a General Khan or something, some Korean general who who was generalized for the Confederates. Look, there are more Koreans fighting for the Confederates, and there were no Japanese fighting for the Confederates. The Japanese will never fight for the Confederates. The Japanese never even support the Confederates. You know why? Because Japan was not involved in the Civil War. Only China, but China had Korea, and the rest of China has fought for the North. Well, Korea were sending a lot of more. They were sending more Confederate supporters to let Korean troops fighting for the South. Well, the rest of China has sent more troops fighting for the North, and that's the reason why. And by the time that Korea had that the Japanese government have files of all the Koreans fighting for the Confederacy, believe it. Well, South Korea plans to make up some made up bullshit. Don't take it. Take it as it's a lie and disapprove Korea's approval. Disapprove Korea's story about telling that there were more Japanese fighting for the Confederates, and approve the hidden files that Korea has hidden, that they don't want to know that we're sending lots of Koreans fighting the Confederates, that they will say there were like 1,000 of Korean soldiers fighting for the Confederate States of America during the American Civil War, and all Koreans fought for the South during the American Civil War. Because remember, Koreans fought for slavery, while others not. Maybe if Japan fought for the Civil War, there might be more Japanese fighting for the North, and yes, Union supporters, while more Koreans fighting for the South, more Koreans for the Confederates. It makes kind of sense, right? So the same thing with this. Maybe during that time, maybe have a dance partner or something. Maybe the Southern soldiers had, we have give you Chinese dancers, or square dance with Chinese women or something. Oh yeah, those women are actually Korean also. They were get paid, and after the end of the war, they went back to their Chinese occupied Korea when the Confederates lost. Maybe there might be some love story of a Confederate soldier falling in love with a Korean girl. That Korean woman had a brother fighting for the Confederates. Some kind of shit, some kind of story. Could be true, but after all, I hope the U.S. could approve Japan's approval, that they have proven the fact, that they have the fact and they have the truth, that more Koreans fought for the Confederate states. There were more Koreans fighting for the Confederate during the time of the American Civil War, and denies Korea's claim that Japan were favor of the Confederates. That they're not. That's just a Korean lie about the American Civil War to deceive Japan. Goodbye, everybody.